If you've ever torn a hammy, then your rehab has probably looked like rest, maybe a bit of stretching, and then you're going to return to running or sport once it feels better again, and then just hope that it doesn't go on you again. And usually when you take this approach, you're probably going to do your hammy again at some point. And the problem is that you're missing that link in the middle, which is the gym work. And the problem with it is that it's usually either missed or the actual gym work is done, but without any real thought put into what you're doing or why you're doing it. In this video today, I'm going to show you exactly how I progress my athletes' hamstring rehab program. I'm going to show you phase by phase how we do it, what we're looking for in each phase, and what the criteria to progress through each phase is. I'll also mention that this is only going to be what we're doing in the gym. I'll make a specific return to running video separately to this. And I'll only show you the actual hamstring progressions that we're going to be doing, not the entire gym, full gym strength and conditioning program. It's literally just going to be the hamstring progressions. So with my work as a physio, I try to use the best information that's currently available for our rehab programs and trying to get our athletes back on the park as best as possible and as soon as possible. Particularly with hamstring rehab though, the specifics in terms of the hamstring work that we're going to do will probably vary slightly depending on the actual type of tear and where you've had it in the hamstring is. So for example, if it's a lower hamstring, mid portion, or an upper hamstring, the exercise variations are going to differ slightly between those locations of tears. But what I'm going to show you today is just the general hamstring rehab protocols that I would run through with most of the athletes that I see and how we're going to progress that. So even if you have a specific type of hamstring tear, these exercises will still cover those boxes for you. The thing that most people don't really get about hamstring strains is that hamstring is going to fail when the loading on the hamstring exceeds its tolerance, particularly at longer muscle lengths. And this is exactly what happens during high speed running. Often the mismatch between trying to get back to high speed running whilst doing the gym work is that in the gym, most people just focus on getting their hamstrings strong, but they miss trying to get them stronger at longer muscle lengths and teaching that hammy how to tolerate loading in a lengthened position. If you skip this principle, you're leaving yourself at risk for a further hamstring injury or a recurring hamstring injury. And we know from the research that those athletes who load their hamstrings through an eccentric type of action, so the lengthening of the muscle tissue action, those are the athletes who tend to have a better rehab with lower re-injury rates and faster return to sport than those athletes who just focus on basic strength work and getting as strong as they can. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to get into these exercises and show you exactly what we're going to be doing phase by phase. So these exercises are going to be phase one. In phase one here, our goal is going to be to maintain or improve range of motion, reduce pain, begin loading the hamstring without provoking symptoms. And these exercises are going to be just guided by pain at the moment because the hamstring is still going to be very sensitive. So at the most, you probably want it to be about 3, maybe you could stretch into about a 4 out of 10, but I'd want it to be around a 3 out of 10 or less. So this first exercise is called a supine hamstring isometric contraction. What we're trying to achieve here is get some actual load back into the hamstring. We're trying to wake it up by reducing that inhibition through the injured tissue. There is some good evidence for isometric exercises for help with pain, but also for early tendon loading as well. It's laying on my back. I want my knee bent to roughly around that 30-degree area, and I'm going to just push my heel down into the floor, try and get a bit of a contraction through my hamstring, and I'm going to hold that for a 5 count, and then I'm going to let the tension go, and then I'm going to repeat. So we're going to go roughly 5 seconds on, 5 seconds off. So we're going to go 5 seconds on, 5 seconds off with that. We're going to hit 3 sets of 10 reps. The thing with this one is it's going to feel quite easy, but don't skip it because it feels easy. I've explained to you why it's important, so make sure you do it. If it gives you pain early on, you can adjust how hard you're pushing your foot into the floor. It doesn't have to be a 100% effort. You could start off at like 40 or 50% if you need to, and then build your way up. But the key here is I want you to start it early. You could start at day 1 if you've got the ability to do so. You might need to start at day 2 or 3, but start early. Exercise number 2 is going to be a glute bridge. So what I want to do here, laying on my back, just try and relax my upper half a little bit. I really want to focus on getting my knees bent in as far as I can, but keeping my heels flat, but it should feel comfortable, not like you're really scrunching yourself up. Squeezing your butt cheeks so your hips tuck under you a little bit. And then I want to try and push my feet through the floor as I raise my hips up to the ceiling, hold, and then control it back down for a 3 count. Trying to keep some tension through my glutes, but also a little bit through that upper hamstring. What you don't want to do here is feel like your hammies are going to cramp up on you. If your hammies are going to cramp up on you, we just need to get those glutes firing a little bit harder. And to do that, you could always wrap a strap around your knees and just push out against that to assist. For the glute bridge, make sure you're starting off with around 3 sets of a 10 to 12 rep mark. This next exercise as part of this phase 1 of rehab is called the extender, and it comes from research by Askling and colleagues, and their rehab protocol essentially focuses on creating tension in and load in the hamstring at length. So this series of exercises from the L protocol, the athletes that followed these tended to show a faster return to sport post hamstring injury, but were also less likely to get re-injured when they returned to sport. So what we're going to do here with the extender, again, laying on your back, you're going to bring your hip into a 90-degree bend. You're going to just hold the back of your thigh and cradle that a little bit. And what you want to do is, starting with that leg relaxed, you're going to just lift the foot, extending the knee up towards the ceiling. Go as far as you can before you start to feel pain. If pain starts to kick in, just hold and then control it back down. And we're working through about a 3 to 4 second up and 3 to 4 second down phase. What we're trying to do is just feel a bit of tension in the hammy as we work through that range of motion. What we don't want to see is as you're lifting, you're pulling your leg towards you. We're not trying to get into more hip flexion, we're just holding that 90 degrees, and then leg just comes up to find that tension. Remember that you're limited by what pain is telling you here, so don't go beyond about that 3 out of 10 pain, and just work through repetitions of that. So you start off with about 3 sets of 12 on that protocol, and then in the next phase, I'll show you how that's going to progress. Criteria for you to progress out of phase 1 into phase 2. You're going to have to be able to walk at a normal walking pace without pain. We want no pain on resisted hamstring testing, and we want 0 out of 10 pain, so no pain at all, on all exercises in that first phase. Alright, so moving on to phase 2, the goals for phase 2 here are going to be restore strength through full range of motion. We want to begin loading through lengthened positions in that hammy with added load or resistance. And then we're going to progress when we can achieve that loading through full range of motion without pain. So first exercise we're going to start with is the barbell Romanian deadlift. You could also use dumbbells or kettlebells or anything else that adds a bit of external resistance. I just like doing it with the barbell. So what we're going to be working on here is lengthening the hammies under load. So I really love the barbell RDL for that. You're going to make sure when you do this, grip the bar nice and tight. I like to go just slightly outside of where that knurling meets the smooth. You can start it from the rack if you want, or you can start it from the floor if you don't have access to the rack, but we're going to slightly come away from the rack. Feet planted roughly, hip or shoulder width apart, somewhere in there. Keep the chest up, try and squeeze your glutes in tight, and then we're going to go soft knees, controlling the bar down as we push our hips back. We want to go for a 3-second control, feel tension in the hammies, and then pull ourselves out of it. We don't have to go super explosive at the start of this phase. We're just looking for load through range of motion. So again, control, hips go back, feel tension in the hammies, and then push back through. So what I'm going to do, I'll just give you a quick visual from the side. So if I'm working this position, what we don't want to see is as we come down, the knees come forward, because because that's just putting us in a squat position and taking tension off the hammies. We want hips going back, shins staying relatively vertical, and feeling like we're getting tension through the hammies. We don't want to just bend forward and end up in this position because my weight's too far forward. I need my hips to go back and feel a really good amount of tension through those hammies. So that's the barbell Romanian deadlift. Start with 3 sets, 8 to 10 reps, 3-second control on the way down. We don't have to go super explosive on the way back up. It's just controlled movement at the moment. Okay, so our next hamstring exercise is going to be the Nordic hamstring curl. I want to specifically state that we're going to start with a partial Nordic hamstring curl. So you've got like a bench or a chair or even a wall in front of you that you can use to support yourself. And the main reason being is that Nordics are a lot of load on the hamstrings. If you're going all the way to the floor to start, your hammy might not tolerate that. So just see how you feel with a partial range of motion first, because it's easier to control yourself. And I don't want to see you going like a little bit down and then just having a big fall all the way to the floor, because you're getting nothing out of that. So partial hammies will be first. Partial Nordic curls will be first. Don't try and be a hero and just get yourself all the way to the floor on day number 1, because it's probably not going to work and it probably won't feel good straight away. So with a Nordic hamstring curl, again, we're loading the hammy a little bit more through the knee bending aspect of the hamstring movement. I've set up a bar here to chock my heels. If you don't have a partner to hold you, it's the easiest way to go about it. We're going to squeeze butt in nice and tight, keep our chest up high. I'm just going to try and control myself in a straight line through knees, hips, shoulders. You can go arms crossed if you want. We're just going to control all the way down to the bench, and then just try and push up a little bit. So now my hamstring's cramping because I've run this morning, but hopefully that doesn't happen to you. What we're looking for here is starting with around 2 sets of 4. You don't want to do a ton of volume to get yourself going with this, because otherwise your hammies will pull up really sore, and we're not looking for that through phase 2 of rehab. But you want to try and progress yourself on towards like 3-4 sets of 5, somewhere around there. You don't have to do a heap more than that. But that's the Nordic hamstring curl. Make sure again, you control it. I don't want to see you just falling down, okay? So full control. I don't want to just see you get a little bit of the way out and then you lose it and you just fall down and push yourself up, because I'm doing nothing for my hamstrings there. It's got to be just this really strong, controlled movement, feeling like the hammies are engaging all the way down, touch, push back, okay? So that's your Nordic hamstring curl. So this next exercise comes from the L protocol. Again, this is called the diver. So what we're going to be doing with this one, it's essentially just a single leg Romanian deadlift, but compared to the 2-legged version that we did before, this is going to require a lot more stability through our trunk and our hips, as well as the knee and ankle. So really nice exercise to help build that. Plus again, we're loading that hammy through a longer range of motion, starting with just our body weight resistance to start, because I'd rather see you just develop really good control with this. We're going to be working on 3 sets of 6 per side, roughly every 2nd or 3rd day to start off, depending on how you tolerate it. So the diver, what we're going to be doing is you can use a rack for support if your balance really sucks, or a broomstick. You're going to go soft knee again on this front leg. The back leg is going to kick backwards as you hinge forward. Try and feel a little bit of a squeeze in the opposite glute. As I go down, my hands are forward, and then I'm trying to reach out a little bit, and then I'm going to control myself back up. Feeling tension through the hammy as I come down. Reach, squeeze the back glute, keep the hips nice and stable through here. I don't want to see you opening up through the hips and then losing balance. We've got to make sure we're nice and steady. So as we're going over once more, we're going forward, bit of reach, and then controlling it back up. So 3 sets of 6 per side, every 2nd or 3rd day to start. So the criteria we need to meet for phase 2, so to get out of phase 2 into phase 3, is you need to be able to load your hamstring at full range of motion without pain. You do want to be able to jog in a straight line without pain. And we want our hamstring strength to be within 80% or no more than a 20% deficit from the uninjured side. Our goal for phase 3 is to develop high levels of explosive strength as well as power. And what we're also going to be looking for is developing the traits that we need to return to high speed running. The first exercise that we're going to be doing in this phase 3 of rehab is called the glider, and this is the third exercise in the L protocol of exercises that I've been talking about. And this is the most advanced version, or the most advanced exercise in the L protocol, and it's nice because it starts to load the hamstring in a similar position to what the swing phase of running does, and that's where most hammy strains happen or hammy tears happen. What we're going to do is start off with 3 sets of 4 reps, and then we're going to try and build that up to around 3 sets of 8 reps over time. But even if you're struggling to progress the amount of reps that you're doing, we can also, as your hamstring is improving, start to progress things like the speed of the movement as well as the range of motion. So for the glider, you're going to have one shoe or sock on one foot, doesn't matter, but then I'm going to have a slippery surface for my other foot, so you could use a slider. I've just got a sock on my deadlift platform, so I'm going to have my planted foot on the stickier surface here. I'm going to use the rack for some hand support because you want to use your arm to assist with this movement. I'm going to plant my foot. I want to get into roughly that sort of 30-degree knee bend. I'm going to try and slide. So this is my injured leg, by the way. I'm going to slide my foot back as far as I can, and then I'm going to feel a little bit of tension in the hammy. If you start to feel that injury area or that injury site, just hold there for a bit, and then you're going to use your arm to assist and pull yourself back out of it. So I'll show you again. Try and control it back with that slide. Get as much stretch into that hammy as you can, and then use your hand to pull yourself back out of it to assist with that movement. Down the track, if you want to get a little bit more tension in the hammy, you can kind of like dig your heel in a little and try and pull, but you don't want to do that at the start. We're just trying to expose that hamstring to loading in that position that is a little bit more of a risky position for recurring hamstring injuries. So our next exercise here in a phase 3 of rehab is going to be the hip thrust with added load. So I've got a bench set up here and it's chocked against the rack because I don't want the bench slipping out from under me while I'm trying to do this. But the easiest way to start, if you don't have a dedicated hip thrusting machine at the gym you're at, you're going to get your bar, try and find that like softer crease in your hips, which is just below the bony points on the front side of your pelvis. I'm going to use my hips to try and get that weight into position, find my feet into a comfortable position, and then what I want to do with this is really squeeze my butt hard at the bottom and explode up, and then control down, squeeze, push, control, squeeze, push, control. So in this third phase, we're really looking at developing that explosive power that we need to get back. So I want to start moving the weights quickly, as fast as I can and as hard as I can, and then have that not like super high reps. So we want to go like 3 sets of 5 on this. You could go up to 3 sets of 8 if you really wanted to, but I'd prefer to go heavier. 3 sets of 5, work on explosive reps under high load, because this is going to help translate to that sprinting a little bit more, or that higher speed running a little bit more, because we're pushing that hip through explosive hip extension. I want to feel like I'm getting the glute and the hammy engaging on this, but again, we're not cramping up through the hamstrings. We just want to feel those tissues firing hard. So the criteria we need to meet to get from this phase 3 back into a return to sport phase or return to high speed running phase is that we need to be able to run at 75% of our maximal sprint speed without pain. We want our hamstring strength on the injured side to be within 10% of the uninjured side. And this is going to come in the next video about return to running progression, but we need to be able to have completed progressive exposure to submaximal running. Also remember that all of these progressions through phase 1, 2 and 3, they're all based on the criteria that I've mentioned. They're not based on an arbitrary time. So if you get to week 2 and there's still deficiencies there, but you think it's time for you to move on, you're making the wrong decision. You have to tick all the boxes first before you're able to move from one phase to the next. So these are some of the exercises that I would give to my athletes through phases 1, 2 and 3 of hamstring rehab. Like I said before, these are just the hammy specific things, not the full strength and conditioning program. I'm going to put together another video on the return to running aspect of things, but for the context of this is just the gym progressions. So the other stuff that I haven't mentioned yet, you could do a little bit more single leg work if you wanted to. I would probably work on testing the difference between limbs, because we want to try and achieve a less than 10% difference or in terms of symmetry for strength between limbs. So if your injured side is a lot weaker than your uninjured side, you're going to have to spend more time in that phase of rehab before you start to progress and really focus on the loading of that hamstring on the one side rather than just doing everything on both legs. And of course, hamstring rehab is going to differ between individuals depending on where the hamstring tear is and what the athlete's weaknesses are and what they're good at. So this is not perfect across the board, but it is a really good place to start in terms of getting your hamstring rehabbed properly and done through phases. And if all you did was this, you would probably tick most of the boxes to get yourself back to where you need to go. If you are someone with a hamstring injury or has got a recurring hamstring injury that you're dealing with on the regular, I have got a video here that will help you with all of the principles you need to know about hamstring rehab and what you should be doing to get yourself back to full sport or running, whatever it is that you want to do again, without having to worry about this becoming a constant issue for you, because ultimately we want training to be a joyful experience. You don't want to be just worrying about getting your hammy torn all the time. So do your rehab properly, watch that video, learn how to rehab it properly with those principles plus this gym work that I've shown you today, and you should be all right.